you picture Kathmandu today, you probably think of, well, solid ground, right? Temples, streets, maybe those incredible mountain views.
Definitely solid ground, bustling city.
Exactly. But digging into the sources you brought together, it's really clear the capital of Nepal actually emerged from something dramatic, a massive geographical shift.
Oh, absolutely. We're talking about the draining of a giant lake. It's an origin story where the land and the myths are, well, completely intertwined.
That's what we're diving into today. Using these sources, ancient Buddhist texts, some linguistic deep dives, even modern archaeology, to figure out how the Kathmandu Valley got its name. Specifically, its original Tamang name, Yambu.
Right. The goal is to sort of peel back the layers, isn't it? Myth, language, those surprising cultural links. See how they explain the valley's formation.
Okay, let's unpack this. Let's start right here with that core geographical fact everyone seems to agree on. The valley, ages ago, was just this huge lake.
A prehistoric lake, yeah. And the Tamang language has a specific name for it.
Which was?
Yambu. And critically, it wasn't just lake. Ñyambu actually means the serpent that resides in the lake.
Ah, so right from the start, it's sacred geography. It belongs to a deity.
Precisely. The Naga, the serpent king, specifically Ñyambu Gyohee.
Ñyambu Gyohee. Okay.
And this is where the name for the land comes from. Sources like Narayan Singh Blon back in '94 explain that Yambu, the name for the valley floor we know it, comes directly from Ñyambu, the lake's name.
How so?
Because the land only appeared after the water of Ñyambu Gyohee, the serpent king's lake, was gone. So Ñyambu ends up signifying Naga, or serpent land, essentially, the land born from the serpent's domain.
Wow. The land itself remembers the water, remembers the deity. That's powerful. And this isn't just one account, right? You mentioned other texts.
Correct. Other sources, drawing on really foundational Buddhist texts like the Baleo Rangjung Chiorten Chenpoi or Gyusuksyu, they confirm this lake, Ñyambu Gyohee, as the ancient home of Naga deities. They even mention specific figures like Karkotak Nagaraja.
So it's a consistent picture across different traditions. Before Kathmandu, there was this sacred lake of the Serpent King.
Exactly.
Which brings up the obvious question. If it's this revered, sacred place, why on earth would anyone drain it?
Ah, that's the core of the myth, isn't it? The reason wasn't just practical, like needing farmland, it was spiritual. The story goes that a previous Buddha, Vipassana Buddha, planted a lotus seed in the lake.
Okay.
And when that lotus bloomed right there on the surface of the water, a holy flame appeared, the Swayambhu Jyoti.
A divine light.
Floating.
In the middle of an enormous lake. Hard to get to for prayers, I imagine.
Exactly the problem. And this miraculous flame drew someone very important. Bodhisattva Manjushri.
The key figure.
The key figure. The sources are very specific. He traveled all the way from Mahachina, Great China, specifically to witness this divine light.
So a pilgrimage turns into a major engineering project.
Sort of, yeah. He arrives, sees this incredible holy flame, but realizes it's basically inaccessible out on the water. So what does he do?
Let me guess. He finds a way to drain the water.
Precisely. In this grand mythological act, Manjushri takes his sword, cuts a gorge through the hills surrounding the lake Chopar Gorge, tradition says, and drains Ñyambu Gyohee.
Just like that.
Wow. Well, mythologically speaking. And once the water receded, he established the first settlement on that newly revealed earth.
Okay, land created. How does this connect back to the name Yambu?
Because it was founded on the land that was Ñyambu Gyohee's domain, the land of the Serpent King. So the name Yambu was kept for this new settlement. It's a name rooted in that memory.
That makes sense.
And the sources point out that the dense Tamang settlements, historically ringing the valley, really preserved and reinforced this original name, Yambu.
And this story, the draining by Manjushri, it pops up elsewhere too.
It does. The Swayambhu Purana, a really important text, calls the lake Niranjan Nagahara the serpent's pool, but confirms the core story. Manjushri coming from Wu Tai Shan, the five-peaked mountain in Great China, with two consorts, specifically to drain the lake for worship.
So the details align, even with slightly different names. Wu Tai Shan. We should remember that location.
Definitely. It becomes important later, but this draining leads to another linguistic step. After the draining, the Tamang people apparently coin a more specific term, Samyunyambu.
Sanyambu. What does that mean?
It means Naga Bhumi, or, more descriptively, land formed after drying the serpent lake. It literally describes Manjushri's achievement.
So Ñyambu was the lake serpent, Yambu became the settlement on the drained land, and Sanyambu was like the commemorative term for that newly formed land itself.
Exactly, Ñyambu, land from the Serpent Lake.
What's fascinating here is how that term, Ñyambu, seems to be the bridge to the name we know best today.
That's the argument, yes. This term, Ñyambu, wasn't just some obscure scholarly thing. It became the common way to refer to the Central Valley area.
Right.
And you see variations of Yambu popping up in historical records for different parts of the city, like Yambu Pring, Yambu Brumaya, Yambu Korma, meaning things like dense settlement or royal fort. Yambu, derived from that serpent lake, really anchored the identity.
Gave the place its identity. But the really big connection is Ñyambu evolving, right?
Absolutely. Linguistically, the path seems pretty clear, according to these sources. Ñyambu gets shortened, maybe assimilated over time into Swayambhu.
Which sounds very close to
Swayambhu, the name of that iconic sacred hill and stupa overlooking the whole valley.
So the stupa is literally named land formed after drying the serpent lake.
That's the interpretation. It connects the geography, the deity, the myth, and the main landmark all back to that original Tamang name for the lake and its spirit. It's quite profound, really.
It really is. Okay, we followed the myth and the language, but now things take a turn towards, well, hard evidence, don't they?
They do. And it connects back to Manjushri's origin.
Here's where it gets really interesting. Because that mythological homeland suddenly seems to echo in archaeology.
Right. We mentioned Manjushri came from Wu Tai Shan in Great China. Geographically, that's in Shaanxi province. It's right there in the Yellow River Gobi Desert region.
Okay, the Gobi Desert. Why is that significant for Kathmandu? Seems worlds away.
It does, until you look at the archaeology. Sharma's research back in 2001 uncovered something remarkable in the Kathmandu Valley: stone tools.
Stone tools, okay. Common find.
Well, yes, but these were dated to around 30,000 years old.
Right.
And critically, their material, their type, they didn't originate locally.
No, where from?
They were traced directly back to that same Gobi Desert region, Manjushri's legendary homeland.
Wait a minute. 30,000-year-old tools found in Kathmandu originated from the exact region the myths say the valley's founder came from.
It's a mind-blowing connection, isn't it? It suggests a potential link, maybe migration, maybe contact between these two distant regions tens of thousands of years ago.
That reframes the myth entirely. It's not just a story. It might be encoding ancient migratory memory.
And it potentially ties into Tamang lineage too. Some sources, like Tamang's work from 2018, trace the Moktan lineage of the Tamang people back towards the Altai Mountains and the Yellow River civilization. Again, that northern connection.
So we've got mythology, archaeology, and potential lineage, all pointing towards that Gobi Yellow River area. Astonishing.
And the connection doesn't just stop in deep prehistory, it continues much later.
How so?
Think about Arniko, the famous Nepalese architect, sometimes called Balbu.
Yeah.
In the 13th century AD, he travels to China.
Okay.
And he builds Buddhist stupas there in the distinct Nepali Shikara style. Guess where?
Don't tell me. Wu Tai Shan.
Right back in Wu Tai Shan, Manjushri's legendary home base. It's this incredible back and forth cultural exchange, architecture flowing from Nepal to the place its founding figure supposedly came from.
That's amazing, a complete circle.
And the spiritual connection is still alive there too. Manjushri's mantra, Om Arapachanadi. You can still find it inscribed in the monasteries at Wu Tai Shan today.
Wow, so the influence flowed both ways and endured. Material culture, architecture, spiritual practice, all linking Nepal and this specific region of China.
But maybe the most deeply embedded link, something woven into daily life and ritual, is the calendar system.
Right, you mentioned that earlier, the Tamang calendar.
Yes, the Tamang Lhosar, their New Year celebration. It follows a 12-year cycle, an elemental calendar called Lhokor, or Jyungchi, and the sources are explicit. This system comes directly from the Manjushri tradition.
And where does that tradition get it from?
From the Chinese astronomical and astrological system. The texts call it Gyanakji, literally Chinese astrology.
So the way they mark time, celebrate the new year, it's fundamentally rooted in a Chinese system linked to Manjushri.
Absolutely. And it wasn't just theoretical timekeeping. This calendar system, the Jyungchi, dictated how major religious structures were built.
Really, like which year to build them.
Exactly. The belief detailed in the sources is that major stupas, including the Great Swayambhu Stupa itself, which the Tamang apparently call Phagapa Singun, meaning Year of the Boar, were constructed according to this elemental cycle. Their holiest sites are aligned with this ancient astrological system.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, what emerges isn't just a collection of separate stories. It's one incredibly coherent narrative.
It really is. You start with a physical reality of the lake. You get a myth explaining its transformation tied to a specific deity, Ñyambu Gyohee.
Then the language itself tracks that transformation. Yambu becomes Yambu, which evolves through Sanyambu to Swayambhu, naming the land and the key monument.
And then comes a validation. The founder figure, Manjushri, is said to come from Wu Tai Shan, the Gobi region.
And bam, 30,000-year-old tools from that exact region turn up in Kathmandu.
Plus, later architectural exchange back to Wu Tai Shan and the shared calendar system derived from Chinese astrology that governs even the building of Swayambhu.
It all converges. That one area, the Gobi Wu Tai Shan region, seems to connect the origins of the people, the oldest tools they used, the founder myth, and the calendar they live by.
A thread running through millennia, connecting geography, culture, myth, and science. It suggests the myths weren't just fanciful tales. They were perhaps sophisticated ways of preserving deep historical and geographical memory.
It makes you realize how much history might be encoded in stories we often dismiss as pure fantasy. The people who told the story of Manjushri draining the lake seem to have known on some level about these ancient connections north.
The sources really layer together beautifully to show that. The myth provides the why, the geology, the how, but those deep links to the north provide the who and when in a way that resonates across thousands of years.
Absolutely. Which leaves us with a pretty compelling thought, doesn't it? If this deep connection between ancient Gobi tools and Manjushri's mythological homeland lines up so neatly here, well, what other origin stories across the globe might be hiding similar truths, just waiting for the right combination of archaeology and folklore studies to reveal that old myths could be far more accurate maps of our deep past than we've ever imagined?
Something definitely worth pondering.